that's pretty much what you have before you is 4 colors. And these 4 colors are indicative of pretty much the so-called 4 races that we've all been tricked into believing that we are. Now, we'll go down these, chronologically. So, let's look at it like this. This is a black watercolor pencil, right? This is black. So, if you are someone who identifies as black, although your ancestry, your skin color is primarily copper, and any shade that is lighter or any shade that is darker, how can you possibly identify as black? Although, as if it is a race somehow. There is no black land. There is no, you know, uh, black, some sort of black country where the title nationality of the country is black. To claim black as your nationality is to black out your nationality. It is to pretty much declare that you are slave property, because that is no national status. You see, it is asinine, it is irrelevant, it's a misnomer. We are not black. Now, as for white, now this is what many people of European descent and of fair skin descent, who have fair skin, pale skin, tend to believe that they are white. As you can clearly see, if I hold this up to anyone who has fair or pale skin, the colors will not be identical. You see, again, it's another misnomer. But the trick with white is this: just like how black in the system, in the law, means slave, criminal, someone who has been stripped of their nationality, identity, culture, heritage. The same way white, except for white is a privilege in the system. White is a social class. It is not necessarily a racial identity. It is a social class, you see, and it is the highest social class. Although people who identify as white, the so-called descendants of Europeans, fair skin, pale skin individuals, a lot of them may identify as white but still are slaves to the system, because they have not, gained any knowledge of how to either work the system, or their family have came to be peasants, or were peasants, or indentured servants in their ancestry, in the times of colonialism and slavery. So there's a lot of tricks to this as well. Now, for the yellow, now pretty much anyone that is of Asian descent, regardless of whatever Asian race it is, for some reason here in the West and elsewhere, all Asians have the idea that they are yellow. Now, if I were to hold this up against anybody that is from Asia who may have pale skin, lighter skin, or even darker skin that is of copper-like color, you can clearly see that there's not a similarity. It's not like no one on Earth looks like fucking Bart Simpson. You gotta get that straight. No one looks like Bart Simpson or any of the Simpsons. This is pure yellow. So how can you be identifying yourself as yellow fever, etc.? It's asinine. It's a misnomer. You are whatever Asian ethnic group that you descend from, you see. Now, as in for the red, in later years, now see, let's go back in history, red were referred to, the so-called Native Americans of the North, and pretty much now today, red is also synonymous with brown. So now you see a lot of indigenous, so-called Native Americans of the North claiming to be brown, which, yes, is true, because brown is more copper color, but it's still a misnomer because it derives from this red. That's why you see a red, quote-unquote, Indian on the Redskins football team logo, like it's all derived from this, and this is definitely a misnomer. And when they started calling them red after they were labeled black or Negro, along with the so-called African slaves, you see. So these two are actually synonymous. It's just a distinction to confuse our actual ancestry and lineages and heritages, you see. So hopefully this was informative, and it pretty much proves the point that, you know, identifying as these colors are forever divisive, and you need to do your homework, you need to do history, you need to study folks like John Frederick Blumenbach. This fellow was a German scientist from the 17th century that pretty much came before, you know, the likes of Charles Darwin, but had similar philosophies and ideas, and basically pretty much inspired the whole entire eugenics program here in America and worldwide, actually, which is pretty much pseudoscience that pretty much postulates that there are inferior, let's put this in quotes, inferior races versus the superior race, which to them would be the so-called white race. Now, this is utter nonsense, but this is the philosophy these people have moved off of since the days of colonialism, because when colonialism first started, they basically had to have some sort of justification for what it was that they were going to be doing. The whole entire plan was to go around the earth and to have some sort of ethnic, let's quote this, ethnic cleansing. Because if they weren't going to, you know, pretty much take over the lands of indigenous people, you know, how would they be able to take the land and the resources with the indigenous people still being present there, with the indigenous people still knowing the history of what was going on, you see? So they had to take our identities and mix up everything, as well as program and brainwash us. All eugenics is propaganda and pseudoscience. You see, it's propaganda and pseudoscience. The first form of eugenics started, you know, in the days prior to and during colonialism, and the modern version of it began in the later part of the 18th and 19th centuries, you see, and it is still going on to this day. Don't be, you know, don't get it twisted. And another fellow you should look up, Lancelot Capability Brown. This is a scientist of the early 17th century that many don't even speak of, but he was basically a landscape architect, a gardener. He wanted to build a huge garden, you know, and he wondered why plants cross over and, you know, pretty much why do they grow the way they grow, and why do they grow in the places that they grow at, you see. But another thing you really need to look up is Greek for humors. Let's write it down here. See, write this out right quick. For humors. Greek for humors. That's pretty much, this is the philosophy where, you know, the German physicist John Frederick Blumenbach got his idea of the four races, you see, and from him came the likes of Charles Darwin, and then from Charles Darwin came the Nazi scientists, you see. It's all, you know, contrived, you know. Everything is not by accident. Just do your own research and, you know what I'm saying, look it up for yourself, look into it. The truth is always in front of everybody, but it's not being, you know, observed. So hopefully this was, you know, elucidating, and it clears up a lot of the bullshit that we've been told. We are not fucking white. We are not fucking black. We are not fucking yellow. We are not fucking red or brown. We are either indigenous to the lands in which we dwell, or we are just human beings, you know. Simple as that. No more of these isolating terms that perpetuate ceaseless, unnecessary conflict, you see. If you're going to identify as something, identify as your nationality. identify as your family name, identify as whatever fucking activity you do. I suggest identify as nothing, because spirit is everything, you know, spirit is all there is. So that's just what I'm on. But this is just to help elucidate and provide clarity to those who have been confused by this matrix that we're all living in. It goes very, very deep, you know, but this is just a touch of it.